as you put it, this
Yeah, that's that's good.
If you want a hat, grab a hat.
Got it.
Hi Chris. So we got a little bit of a change of plans. Instead of being inside, we're gonna be outside. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Happy that you came and we can have a chat.
Yeah.
So you're from a long-standing martial art tradition family.
Yeah, so I started karate when I was 4.5. My father and my grandfather both were black belts when I started training, or just about black belts. And yeah, we've all trained together. Well, until recently, my grandfather unfortunately passed away, but we all trained together, created a club together. Diverged a little bit at one point where my granddad stuck with Robokai karate, and me and my father went another way and ended up going Shotokan and then into Goju-Ryu eventually. But all of us did judo at various points. Grandfather did a bit of boxing in the army, but yeah, all trained together and started our club in 2008 when I got back from Iraq. And now it's just me that's running the club.
So it's not only a long tradition of martial arts, but army as well. Or military, I should say. I'm sorry for everybody from UK. I'm really, really sorry. My wife keeps telling me because she's used to work for defense, and every time when I say, "Oh, he's from army," no, he might be navy. He might be. You have to say military. Military background.
Yeah, well, mostly Navy background,
cool.
but me and my grandfather bucked the trend. My grandfather did his national service with the army, and he was in the Royal Signals, sort of doing a defence platoon thing. Went to Cyprus, but then, yeah, I'm sort of the only one really. Joined the army in 2003, and did 17 years before getting out, leaving the army to teach karate full time.
Wow. What an improvement.
Yeah, it actually was. Yeah, it was.
So you've been on deployments as well, right?
Yeah, I did both Iraq and Afghanistan. So I went to Iraq in 2007. Did a quite a long deployment there, and did some teaching in Kuwait after that. So teaching about so like explosive ordnance, mines awareness and stuff like that. And then Afghanistan in 2013. Managed to find a bit of time to do some karate out there, so got some quite cool pictures of us training karate in Afghanistan, so that was quite nice. But yeah, I did the two big ones.
So I was going to ask you, how did you keep up the training? Was there time? I would imagine there's not much time.
No, it's really difficult. So I was very fortunate that my when I joined the army, I joined an infantry unit. Got injured. Joined the parachute regiment. Got injured on P Company, which is like the airborne selection course, and was given a choice that basically if I came back with the same injury, I'd lose my army career, or I could opt to transfer. So I went and joined the Royal Engineers, which for people that don't know, there's like two main engineer groups within the army. The Royal Engineers that I was part of, they do like the construction and the demolition and mines and stuff like that, whereas the others do the mechanics side of things. That's the REME.
Fixing
the things that we break. So good guys, hard-working guys as well. So yeah, my first posting was to a place called Tidworth, which is in Wiltshire, it's right on Salisbury Plain. And that was as a choice because I knew it was an hour's commute back to home, so I could still continue to train. It was really, really difficult. I used to commute every night, so I used to do an hour in the morning, an hour back, and at that time that was quite an unheard of thing to do in the army. You were expected to be in barracks, living with the guys. But yeah, I was pretty fortunate. Put myself out a lot to continue training. I mean, there were obvious gaps where I deployed. We went and do some jungle warfare training for 3 months, and training was like not possible past a bit of kata on your own out to one side in a gym. But yeah, it's pretty difficult to continue training. And then so I hoped that I would post, or I'd get like sent to places that were quite close to where I lived. I only had one posting, which was like a 3-year posting down to Devon. But I managed to find like-minded karate people and make new friends through the martial arts.
They're always around.
Yeah, they're always there. And then we ended up setting up our own sort of like mini club. So we'd end up training regularly. But yeah, during the time that I was in the army, I set up my club. So I came back from Iraq end of 2000, right at the very end of 2007, and throughout that deployment, there was me and another guy who did Shotokan karate, MT, and he, we were both talking about how, he's a black belt as well, so it was his second dan, and we were both talking, and I was a first dan at the time. We were talking about how we really didn't feel like the karate that we had done had prepared us for sort of any sort of unarmed combat in the centre of Basra. And you're like, how do we make sense of it? And I was very fortunate. I went to work with the Americans in a place called Tilil, which is sort of like central Iraq, just south of Baghdad. And in the American PX there, which is like their big superstore, their American superstore, there was like a black belt magazine, and Ian Abernethy's on the front cover. So that was the first time I've still got that, and I've shown it to him. And so that was quite cool. And it was like this, revelation. There is, karate is. There's much more to this than the stuff that we've been doing. So off the back of that, created my own club because I couldn't see anybody doing the sorts of thing that I wanted to do. And then between me, my dad, and my granddad, we sort of created our own practical karate club from there.
So you said that your granddad was doing Ryobukai.
Yes, he was doing Ryobukai. Yeah.
How Ryobukai is in my I've heard about it. I'm not very familiar with the history and stuff, but it's Okinawan, or is it Japanese?
I think my history is not great
because you're not Ian.
Yeah, I'm not Ian. Yeah, yeah, exactly that. I think it's. I'm fairly sure that it's a Japanese style. I mean, I know we did Japanese Ryobukai.
Is Simon Oliver does it?
I believe so. Yes, yeah, I believe so. But it was under Yamazaki Sensei, who passed away last year, and very similar to Shotokan. And that's one of the reasons why when we transitioned, we moved away from the Ryobukai and broke away and did went under another sensei. It was quite easy to transition into Shotokan because the katas were the same. But yeah, very traditional 3K, but fairly tough, like old school 3K karate. And
then you discover the revelation of Goju.
Yeah. The cold top. No. I don't know. Because I was quite young at the time. I don't really know how that transition came about, but I know that.
So it was your dad?
Yeah, my dad was one of the instructors. Dave Lowe was the other instructor as well, and I think Dave was under tuition of Paul Coleman, who again sadly passed away recently, and so Paul was doing Goju and had always done Goju-Ryu. So I think Dave and my father sort of just transitioned over to Goju. But yeah, I'm not sure why that came about really. I don't really know the ins and outs of why that came about, but I just remember transitioning at about, I was a fourth Q in Shotokan, and then transitioned and spent about 6 years doing Goju before taking my black belt in Goju-Ryu.
Cool. So which lineage of Goju you doing?
Our own. Our own. We're a Bitsa Goju club. Fiercely independent Goju club. I've got lots and lots of influence. There are some amazing influences out in the Goju world. The likes of Paul and Michelle Enfield, who we're very fortunate. We're going out to train with them.
I've seen them.
It's a work trip, not a holiday. So my wife thinks it's a holiday. The likes of Chris Wilder. We've had Chris Wilder come over and train with us, and Gavin at Mulholland and Dan Lewis from DKK. So there are lots of really good Goju, and we sort of take quite a bit from all of them. But so we're a Bitsa Goju club.
Cool. So I usually ask this question to many people. What impact karate had on your mental health? And was it helpful? It must have been difficult being in Iraq and stuff. Do
Yeah.
you find any ease in that, or not relevant?
I feel so. For me, I think from an early age, what karate gave me was an outlet for my energy. So, I've got an autistic daughter with ADHD. I'm probably somewhere on that spectrum myself. Very, very full of energy as a kid, and I think I think the benefits from a mental health perspective for me were it allowed me an outlet for, I didn't do very well at school. I did incredibly poorly at school actually, and left school with no qualifications. So, and it could, because in my mind I thought, well, as long as I can sign my name on a piece of paper, they'll have me in the army. They'll take me, which at the time they did. Not so much now. You've got to be a bit more switched on. So I think the consistency and the repeatability. So just like kata, you're getting lots of the same thing. Most lessons, you're getting a physical, energetic outlet via. Which is really, really good. For me personally, I have been very fortunate, and I have not myself had struggles or suffered with mental health, with the exception maybe of I had a short period after the return from Afghanistan. I had about a 3-month period where
PTSD.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say PTSD, because for my Afghanistan tour was not a kinetic tour. It was not a violent tour. We were in the drawdown phase at that point, so we were in the business of pulling the equipment out and stuff like that. So my job was quite easy, and it wasn't. Iraq was very different. Iraq was very kinetic, very dangerous, very terrifying on a daily basis. Afghanistan wasn't, but I'd gone from being, I suppose, over a 6-month period, somebody who was quite important, and I had lots of things to do, and people relying on me to do the right thing. And I came back to the UK, and it was just a bit of a, you stood in a queue at Tesco's waiting for a pint of milk, and 2 people are arguing over something that's not particularly, it's very insignificant, and it just makes you think. So I was quite low after Afghanistan. But I think karate probably helped me. That gave me something to focus on.
Yeah, bossing people around.
Yeah. Back to. I don't do that. But I know that karate has been instrumental in helping my students, and having that support network, people. I think that's the other great thing about the martial arts in general is like-minded people. Yeah. Having people that you've got that shared growth in adversity, and you've all been through that same thing, and I think you get that from the army as well. You get everybody's been through those hard times together, and you get that bonding, and you shared those same experiences. You talk about those things, and it makes it eases everything. It makes life a bit easier, and I think there's a lot to be said for the adversity of training martial arts and that bond that creates.
Because your dojo now is quite a big one, isn't it?
It's quite big. We're in Wantage in Oxfordshire, and there's quite a few martial arts places near us. We're the only sort of practical self-defense focused group in the area. Lots of sporting groups. So for quite a small area, and we've got 60+ adults on the books training. Well over 100 junior students, so it's a reasonable sized dojo. Reasonable, bit bigger than when it used to be me, my dad and my granddad and one of my friends turning up to train, but yeah, we just seem to grow and grow and grow. Clubs, it looks big now. When we're in that hall, it looks big with us all training together, so it's quite, it's nice.
Yeah,
feel.
It's nice to see your videos and posts and
Thanks.
stuff. So you said you didn't have much of an education.
No,
You didn't perform well, and now you are an educator
of sorts.
teaching.
Yeah.
Because I've got a very similar thing, because my teacher said, Mr. Bubka, you will achieve nothing. Yeah. Right? And now I've got published books, running club, teaching, promoting the mental health aspects of karate and stuff like that. So that kind of fixed education doesn't work for everybody, right?
No, it doesn't.
So how did you end up being an educator?
So I think
and say something about what you do, because
yeah,
he's doing great stuff with Mary about
I'll touch on the
VPAM.
Yeah, Violence Prevention and Management UK. So my last job in the army was I was a platoon sergeant at Army Training Regiment Winchester, and our job there was taking like civilians who were joining the army and giving them their 14-week basic training, teaching them how to sort of wear the uniform, polish boots, fire rifles, and that sort of stuff. And during that time, I got lots of like teaching qualifications, so skill at arms instructor and sort of for weapons and stuff like that, as well as chemical warfare and I just love teaching, and I loved that job so much. And if the truth be told, I wanted to post to quite a niche teaching job in Oxford in the army, and I didn't get that job, and so I was given a bit of an ultimatum: you're going to Devon. They were going to post me back to Devon, which would take me away from my club. So it was karate or the army, and karate. So I left the army. But yeah, so I really enjoyed teaching. I really, I did think about, in my mind, I always thought I might be a primary school teacher when I left the army. And then I spoke to a few primary school teachers and realised how hard work that was. But yeah, I love teaching. I really enjoy teaching, and I think there's a huge amount of benefit to be had from teaching for your own development, which is why now that forms a really important part of our syllabus. So you have to do, at third Dan, you've got to go through, whether you want to teach eventually or not, you go through a process of being taught how to teach, being assessed through teaching and reflective practice. So far we've had 4 people through that, and they've all had like positive feedback on that. But yeah, it sort of led me to doing this violence prevention and management, so the self-protection side of things. Me and Mary Stevens, the wonderful Mary Stevens, work together. She's Oxfordshire based as well, and we go into schools and we talk to groups about like the soft skills. They're always expecting us to turn up with a big sack of hand pads and boxing gloves and do a lot of sort of sparring drills and like a bit like fitness stuff, and we end up doing sort of group work and reflective practice and boundary setting and stuff like that. So,
which we're gonna do in Guildford.
Yeah, we are.
In February.
Yes. Looking forward to it. But yeah, we've been very fortunate, and I will say it's all down to Mary, because I drive and turn up and teach, but Mary does all the planning. Because I'm not the greatest of planners, but we've been all over. We've been to London, we've been to Peckham, work with a group of girls there, and sort of touched on sort of edged weapon stuff with them. We've worked in some beautiful schools in High Wycombe, some really wonderful places where it's nice to see the schools really investing in their people. Lots of state type schools don't necessarily have the budget or see the value in doing it, and they do get the local sports fitness instructor in to do a self-defense class in inverted commas, but yeah, we've been around. We've been fortunate. We've worked with educators as well, so colleges in Oxford and other people, but yeah, we're expanding, so if you want us to come and do a little bit, we will. We're happy to.
I'm gonna put all the info in the description with the links, and it's definitely worth getting those two and have a great time with them and learn something. So why Goju? Changing subject.
Why Goju? Now you put me on the spot. Why Goju? It just feels right. It feels right for me. We sort of take the mickey into that sort of old man's karate with our shorter stances and stuff like that. It feels like it fits me right. It makes sense to me. That's not to say that the other stuff doesn't make sense to me, because I'm fortunate that I've got most of my friends are martial arts friends are non-Goju. We've got like the tribe group where there's only a couple of us that are Doug Connell, me and Doug Connell. There's like standout Goju, token Goju people in the group. But yeah, it feels right to me. It makes sense. I don't have to learn a lot. There's only a few katas in Goju. And I think it's an inherently very practical system. I think unlike the other systems that are maybe more mainstream, it's sort of, in most instances, it's stayed very much sort of linked and attached to its practical roots. which is why I really like it. But if I'm honest, I didn't choose Goju, like so. Goju chose me. Yeah, if it hadn't have been for my dad's changing systems, I'd probably still be doing Shotokan. So, I think as long as it's more what are you doing it for? Because if it was something else that was practical, and I'd be doing that. But I don't. I see lots and lots of systems. I see lots of practical things. I see lots of really really good things, and I identify them in my karate and. Love that. So that's why I'm doing Goju.
Yeah. Well, sorry, my wife wants something.
Oh no!
No, I have to edit. Get out. So you came up from the army.
Yeah.
Settled down with the training. Do you have any supplementation to your training, as in extra training to keep you fit?
Was it like cross training?
Cross training, or powders and stuff like that.
No,
things like that.
No, I've been really, really bad. So since leaving the army, I left the army just as COVID hit, which was possibly the worst time to become a self-employed karate instructor, having only ever known the army as a job, and the army's a lot of things, but it's a really secure job. You have to give 12 months notice. So during that 12 months that you're leaving the army, you're thinking, well, is this the right thing am I doing the right thing? And when you're in the army, you're doing fitness pretty much every day. You do your own fitness. It's all very specific combat fitness. So you sort of rely on that fact. And then when I left the army, I went straight into COVID and teaching constantly, all day, every day. And we had, I basically said to my students, I can't do this without your support. And they were absolutely amazing. And I offered free one-to-ones at any point. So while they were all working from home, they would sort of join in, and we'd do some fitness type training sessions there. But I've been really bad, and I've got a long-term back injury from being in the army, so I've avoided getting back into the things that I know are really good for me. But I've done, I do a bit of yoga. I've come from yoga this morning actually,
cool.
And that's made a big difference to me. I mean, I've done it on and off sporadically, but I've made a commitment to myself that I'm going to do it because it makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
And the sort of the gentle movements of it. There's lots of Sanshin-esque type, Sanshin kata type breathing and stuff like that with the yoga. So I kind of like that. I used to love running, and I need to get back into doing that, but I'm pretty bad. I'm pretty bad for doing my own physical training. I do a lot of martial arts training, and I do no cross training other than training with people from other like systems at seminars and stuff like that. I don't actively seek out and regularly train in another system, partly because of time, and partly because I'm lazy.
No, I was rethinking it because of kids, and a few of my friends had a heart attack quite early in life, so I started being back to running, and which I don't like anymore. I used to like it when I was 20, and now don't like it so much. Do kettlebells as well, but I started to thinking about longevity, so I introduced the red light therapy recently.
Oh, okay.
Which is seems to be going. There'll be video about it soon. As well, found a thing called Magic Mind, which is a nootropic productivity shot, which helps me to focus on stuff. And yeah, there seems to be a really nice company. It tastes alright, and they're a sponsor of this podcast. So if you would like to try it, we've got a link to the website where you can get the discount on the subscription, and it's www.magicmind.com/JAN anxiousBB, and then you can get additional 20% discount if you used my promo code anxiousBB20. And it's actually, I do use it and I do enjoy it, and now I started to take it as a creatine and stuff like that, and it makes a difference. We're not 20-year-olds.
No.
Things which used to be recovering in 2 weeks, now it's like 6 months. I hit the elbow other day doing beans, the dangerous stuff.
Yeah, the dangerous stuff, yeah.
And it's like 4 weeks now. I still can't touch it properly.
Yeah.
It's there lingering.
I've picked up a couple of niggling injuries just before Christmas, and they're all 3 niggling injuries, and they're all me demonstrating to the students how not to do things because they might get injured, and then I'm the only one that ends up injured. Yeah. So
you done it properly.
Yeah, I should have demonstrated properly. Yeah, but the longevity thing, I saw your social media post. When you mentioned longevity, body longevity, that really hit home for me, and that is one of the reasons why, for the first time since leaving the army, I've got myself a gym membership. I've been swimming like every morning, and I've invested in yoga, and I've sort of stolen that. I've stolen that from you, Les. So I've taken that longevity
I've
thing.
stolen from other people. It's just, people say, on my seminars and stuff, how did you come up with it? I did it.
It's all stolen.
I've seen it somewhere. I take it.
Yeah.
I'm not a good martial artist. I'm a good thief.
Yeah.
Where people can find you, and what's the plans for the prevention and violence
prevention. So you can find me if you search Grove Martial Arts in a Google search. It will come up. We're on like Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that, and all our contact details are on there. Violence Prevention and Management, or VPAM UK. Again, we've got a Facebook page, so you can find us there. What's the plans for the future? So, with VPAM, hopefully we've got some regular teaching slots now, which is really nice. We've got some schools that really see the value of the stuff that we've done. We've been going in for 3 years now, so we've got those regular slots booked in. But the thing that has become more prevalent is sort of karate instructors, predominantly karate instructors, because there are like friendship group, there are sort of social circle, are starting to see, that's something that would be good to add into to what we do. And I think it's been nice that people are, they know, they teach karate very, very well, but the self-protection side of things is maybe not. They're aware of it, but it's not something they maybe feel brilliantly comfortable in teaching. So we've been invited in to do bits. So we hope to do a little bit more that way. That would be really good. But yeah, we're stealing from others as well. So.
And by the way, that's the reason why Chris is here.
Yeah.
Because I see value in that, and I want to expand my. I've never been focused on self-defense, but I think it's gonna be beneficial for my students and myself, plus my kids. Yeah. So hence, Chris is here. I think we're freezing our asses off now. We're gonna wrap it up, and thank you for listening. If you would like to support us, best way to do that is to listen to the other episode, and possibly, if you like it, share on your social medias. That helps our podcast to grow, and hopefully you enjoy the new mic and the sound is better, and I will try to improve a little bit more. Thank you very much for listening. Until the next time. Thank you.
Thanks, Les.